broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans, producing after shows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows, interviewing celebrities and showrunners, and bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
We are family.
Why y'all just gonna leave me out here by myself singing?
There
There we go. Hey, I'm
No,
a
I can't
sister with
sing
me.
either.
We
are family. Everybody.
Okay, we had a solo right there. Hey, AfterBuzz fans, this is ABC's Blackish, an all-new season, an all-new episode for ABC Blackish. I'm your host, Courtney Tezeno, joined with two beautiful co-hosts. We're missing one today. Introduce yourselves, ladies.
What's up? What's up? It's me, Megan Thomas. You know who I am.
Hello. I'm Shaprintace Lynn.
Awesome. So this week, I feel overwhelmed.
Yes.
I was a bit underwhelmed with the pilot, and it's hard for pilots to really grab your attention, but this one, I was so impressed. It was hilarious, and it started off with the talk, the infamous talk. I don't know if you ladies have had it, but I have my own personal experience with it, and it's awkward.
Okay, so that's one thing. When I was watching this, because I thought about it, okay, so you see that Rainbow is very open, and her family were they're hippies, so they're used to this. But Dre comes from a typical black family, is what I would say, is because the talk is weird, and you don't really have the talk.
Right.
And I feel like most black families don't have the talk.
We don't.
Right?
We're not open about it.
That's
no.
what I'm saying. It's
all
weird,
you
right?
get is don't have sex.
Right.
Don't you have sex? Oh, I'm
In different.
Don't have a baby.
Right.
Don't bring a baby in this
Right.
house. 'Cause
My
I'm
mom
not
always
raising-
says, know your values. You know your values. So everybody has a different way of going about it. But I feel like the guys have it the worst because as a male, you have to talk to your son about this. They
Right.
are the ones that kind of start the sex thing with us. So, I mean, the talk, it was very awkward this episode because the dad didn't know how to start the talk.
Right.
So,
But I mean, you can't fault him. He didn't have it himself.
exactly. He had that
So-
like awkward, don't do it type thing.
No,
Or, like,
he
here's
didn't
some
have that.
condoms.
That's it. Condoms.
Yeah, he
Pops
got
gave him condoms, which I think is a double standard in our society because I feel like you will give your son a box of condoms, but you wouldn't give your daughter a box of condoms.
No, you give her a purity ring.
Right.
Exactly.
And then
Exactly.
that's how we got so many girls pregnant at like 16.
See, it's nuts. I'm like, the chastity belt. I mean, we didn't go that far, but the chastity belt was talked about. The purity ring is basically the modern day
Right.
chastity belt.
Girl, I had a
So-
purity ring too.
Right.
I did. I got one from church. And, like,
Exactly. And then the thing is that like they don't tell you why you shouldn't do it, other than follow a moral
sinful.
code. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
sinful. Follow a moral code.
You'll be a whore.
Exactly.
A Jezebel.
Exactly.
You Jezebel.
So we are definitely coming from the female perspective of things, but from the male perspective, I'm just like watching this. I don't think every male had it like that. Like, what are you ladies thinking about the way he went about telling his son with the shirt off and everything was just too
I
much?
think it's more relatable to what Pops did. I think I never had this conversation with the guy, so I have no idea. But I think it's more along the lines of what Pops is. Like, here you go, son. Here's some condoms. Handle your business.
Right.
Oh,
right.
not handle your business. I mean, it is like that. I have two older brothers, so my talk was probably not supposed to happen, but I walked in on my brother at a young age.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
So who
And
had to talk with you? Your mom?
My
or-
mother had to talk with me.
Oh,
It
funny.
involved a lot of pushing me away, not understanding like why I even saw this, but you have to have the talk and why you're a woman at that point. So I started going to like conferences for purity and knowing your
Because of
body.
what your brother did?
Yes, because of what he at an early age. I mean, my brothers are 9 and 7 years older than me, so they
Right.
kind of taught me everything not to do.
Right.
And I mean, the conferences really just talked about like having your period and like having children one day and things like that, but the Christian way to go about it. So I mean, it was really good to learn at that age, but I don't think if that happened that I would have even experienced that.
But I think it's sad because guys should have that same talk. That's not fair. That
Right.
men, you see how Dre says to his son, he's like, okay, we got to have, I think they talked about, I wrote it down here. So, of course, he talked about walking into the fragrance. Like, that's something that you do. Talked about gotta have an ugly wingman because it makes you look better. You know, I feel like as women, you don't ever hear anybody tell their daughter, make sure your friends are ugly,
Right.
so that the dudes will choose you.
Right.
Like, nobody's saying that to
No one. I mean, all of your friends should be on the same level as you.
Right.
And then it should even be about looks. It should be who you vibe with.
Right.
So it's completely different. But like Bo said, you're teaching my son how to be a pimp.
Right.
Which I feel like, unfortunately, a lot of, I don't even want to say just black parents, a lot of males are introduced to that
Right.
life. Like, you need to have more honeys, or you need to like go get girls. Like, that's the girl.
Right.
And I can't help but to quote Beyonce, but in Flawless, we discussed that, where you're basically like, you're teaching girls that it's not okay to have,
Right.
you know, basically express their sexuality or even talk about it, but we teach guys the exact opposite. So how does
Right.
that work?
I think this comes from the fear and the trend of single mothers. So when you're raised by a single mother, or when your mother knows single mothers and knows that situation, she's going to be like, don't be me. I don't want you to be a single mother, so don't bring no babies in this house because I'm not taking care of no more babies. Like, that's the push for the females now, because you do see so many single moms, and I don't know if it's because they're not having to talk, or it's because they are having to talk, or media. It's probably so many different things that play into it, but I get it, and I kind of want to stop myself before I get to that point of having kids, to not be like that and say, you know, don't bring any babies, but, you know, talk to my
So you're
daughter
gonna
in
go
a
the same
way.
route where you're just like, keep your morals.
No, yeah, but also let me tell you about what it's like and what to do and what not to do,
Right.
and, you know, always have condoms if you are going to do it, and, you know, things like that. So a
Right.
little bit of a mix of both.
Oh, what about you?
I think I am going to be honest with my children. I didn't have, you know, literally I learned everything about the talk from my friends, and that's a dangerous place for people to learn about sexual things. If people your own age, it's like the blind leading the blind. And so I think for me, I want to be really honest with my children, even to the point where I want them to be like, oh, this is so uncomfortable. My mom was talking to me about this. Like, I'm going to be like, look, we need to have this talk. And it's not a one-time thing. You can't just, you know, Dre seemed to think that he could just walk into his son's room. They had the talk one time and they're good. Yes,
Yeah, no.
nailed it.
Right.
But
You
that's
keep
not
that going.
how it goes with your children. It's an ongoing process, because they're going to have more questions, and they're going to be like, well, I heard this. He should have been happy that his son was coming directly to him, instead of being like, well, I'll just ask my friends about it. He was
Right.
like, yo, me and my dad have shirt off time,
Right. And he
you
told
know,
his
with
friends
his
about
taco
this.
meat and stuff. Sorry, Dre had that taco meat popping, and I was
He had a
staring.
lot more than taco meat showing.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Right, he
Anthony
sure
Anderson.
did. He's sexy.
Right. Sexy and chocolate.
But no, but still, it's just like I don't know. I think it's a good idea that you're honest with your children and you keep talking to them about sex. It can't be one time.
Right.
And then you're done. We don't have to talk about it for the rest of your life. I think it's very important that you do that. If you don't, somebody else they'll find out.
They
Trust.
will.
I mean-
He could have Googled Triceratops himself.
Oh my God.
And I
he
did. I had to Google it.
What is it?
Girl?
What is
I don't
it?
think it's.
Oh, God. Is this appropriate for
This
us?
is
Yes,
not.
this is look. This is on the internet, girl. This ain't on TV.
All right. So the Triceratops, according to the Urban Dictionary,
Goodness. We already started it off wrong.
Right, Urban Dictionary.
it's apparently a sexual position where the index, middle, and pinky finger are used.
I don't even know.
And
I don't-
pinky.
Oh my gosh, that's what that is.
We did not just do this on the. Whoa.
I really thought it was a position.
That's what the Urban Dictionary said. I could be wrong. If I am, then please
Oh my
comment and let us know
gosh.
what it really is.
Who names these
But
things?
I
don't
Who
wanna
said this
know.
is gonna be called Triceratops?
Right.
Like, who did that?
It's the new wave, I think, because I never heard of that growing up.
I didn't either. When he
No.
said that, I was like, I would Google this, but I probably don't want to see. What
I don't
this
want any
means.
pictures to pop up.
No
Like,
pictures popped up. I didn't click on images.
No,
in
no,
Google.
no.
Oh my
Guess
God.
we learned what Triceratops is on ABC.
We
Yeah.
did. Thank you. Thank you
you.
for that little tidbit. But that's a great segue to just go into like parent and child dynamics. I mean, we saw how awkward it is for parents to talk to their kids. And I feel like I'm probably going to be the same way with my kids. Like, who wants to sit and tell your kids the things that you're doing? Like, you do these things. This is how your children were created.
But but that's the thing. They're going to do this too. So why not arm them with the correct information? You know what I'm saying? This is what I've said this from day one. This is exactly what I'm going to do with my teenagers. Or probably when they I'm I'm gonna talk to them about body parts so they understand that's age appropriate. As they get older, when it's time to have that talk, oh, that's when we're gonna have a slideshow. This is what gonorrhea looks like. This is what herpes look like.
So
this
you're gonna be a substitute. You're not even a substitute.
I'm gonna tell their friends' parents, if y'all want them to come over, we're having sex ed talk. We're showing pictures.
Your poor children are not gonna have.
They're
friends.
gonna be like,
they're gonna have friends. Yeah.
No, I'm sure there's gonna be a lot of, because there's a
Your
lot of
mom is crazy.
right. But there's a lot of parents who are like, I don't want to talk. Yeah, go over there to Miss Thomas' house. Let her talk to you about.
And see, my mom would have said you cannot say the night at their girl's house.
No, but this is like from an educational
Yeah.
standpoint, not like position. No,
I
I'm talking
know.
about like, this is what herpes looks like on your vagina or your penis. Like, that's what I'm saying. Because you
this
have
is
to
how
be.
you get it. Because
Right.
a lot of
I mean, we
kids are
learned that.
confused as
We
to how
learned it
you
in sex
contract
ed,
that.
though.
But not
learned
everybody
it.
takes sex ed.
And not everyone's taking it seriously.
I
You're
mean,
in there with
they
your
made us
peers.
take it.
Right, and you be like, she said penis.
Okay,
Think
yeah.
about it when you were in high
I mean,
school. You're not
exactly.
even paying attention.
Exactly. But are you gonna pay attention when your parents are telling you this?
You ain't got no choice because you can't walk out. You can't act up when your mom is where she pops
She can
you.
do what my mom did for Black History. Quiz them. Quiz
That's
them
what I'm
after.
saying.
Okay,
What is
so
that?
we
Ah,
are getting
slideshow.
educational with
right.
it.
Slideshow number 2. What type of STD is this?
Oh my goodness. Megan, I can't wait to meet your kids.
That's what I'm saying, but they don't know. They are going to know, and that's gonna make, because that's real. That makes them go, okay. Well, I probably don't want to have sex, but if I do,
I'm gonna
let me cover myself, because I don't want all of that nasty stuff that was on there to be on my parts.
Yeah,
and that's
right.
that's the whole. That's part of it. You don't want them to have to be a teenage parent too early. Like, you don't want them to
Yeah.
have to go through that. So I feel like you have to be honest with them, even if it's uncomfortable. Why not be? To me, being a little uncomfortable at the beginning is way better than being uncomfortable at the end after you find out they're
Definitely.
pregnant, they got some STDs, something bad just went down.
Exactly. I feel like this generation parents are a lot more open because they have, we have a lot
Right.
of parents that are, early. So having their children early. But at the same time, I feel like that also gives them a reason to be like, well, mom, you did it. So if I do it, then it's okay. I've seen that so many times,
Right.
unfortunately, where they're feeling like their parents' example can be an excuse for them.
Right.
So how do we combat that?
Well, you have to lead by example.
Right.
But I mean, you just have to lead. I mean, I can't say any more than that.
Yeah.
When you have children, at that point, when you decide or when it, comes about that you are now a mother or a father, you have to, every single thing you do in your life is now a little human being watching it.
Right.
So you have to lead by example in every little aspect, every little thing you do in your life.
Yes.
And I feel like a lot of times that doesn't happen. And
Yeah.
parents
do as I
forget.
do as I say, not as I do.
And there also, it's a lot of people that are having their children early are still in a very young, they have a young mentality. So it's kind of hard to still be growing up yourself and then raise your children.
Right.
So I feel like that's the only conflict that we're having. But like you said, if we're open with our kids, hopefully they don't have to go through
And
this
they
at all.
won't. And it's just all about how you teach them. Like, a single mother can very well have that same conversation Megan was talking about, and they'll get it. And I was raised by a single mother, and I had no kids. I don't know.
Like, I don't want no kids.
But my mother was like, listen, I struggled. And she told me flat out everything she had to do and every struggle she had to go through. And she was like, I want better for you. So have that conversation with your with your kids. And
Definitely
Right.
agree.
But I would say this though. What if you walked in and your kid masturbating like Dre did with Junior? What do you do?
that's why I say I'm going to go get your father. Because I don't think you're going to have that conversation.
Bo, she was a good one. She was a good one. I would have been like, oh my God, my baby.
Right,
What
but
are you
you
doing?
also have to remember she's a doctor, so she
That's
sees
true.
things like this, and we still don't know exactly what kind. I think pediatrician perhaps, but at least we know that she is okay and comfortable with these kinds of things. She has to be in her profession.
Right.
I know it's still weird when it's your child, but I think when you have a better understanding of the body, then it takes away the weirdness as a parent. You know,
It does.
Definitely. So
I
feel-
don't know how I would have been though.
Yeah, she's a good one. Honestly,
I would have been rebuke in the name of Jesus. Stop! Stop! Take your hands off that. No.
Where my anointing oil?
Right.
That's how Anthony Anderson's character reacted. He had a whole meltdown.
Right.
And he couldn't even say what it was. He said hand to gland contact. Like that, it was awkward for him.
Right.
So, I mean, I just don't know how I would have dealt with it as a parent, but they handled it very well. It seems like their roles are kind of flipped because I would expect the mom to act like
Right.
that. So it's kind of cool to see like a dad freaking out about the sex talk when you're supposed to be big and bad, but it was cool.
You know, one thing I thought that was missing from this episode, though, I feel like they should have also shown this. They should have shown what it was like for Zoe to be going through this same exact thing. And you see what I mean? Because then we could have brought out so why is there a difference? Because I feel like Rainbow would have been like, well, we have to treat them the same. If you tell him this, you got to tell her this. If you give him comments, I feel like Bo would have been very equal with both of her children in this
I don't
regard.
think the dad would have, though.
Exactly. And so I think that would have been a very interesting topic, and I think they should have gone into that. Because I was waiting, like, okay, are they going to talk to Zoe about sex too? I think it seems like she might be a little older than Junior.
She
so,
is.
Yeah. So I was just like, okay, well, are they going to at least say something or mention? I don't know. I just thought it was weird that they
have the
didn't.
talk with her, because it
Right.
sounds like they didn't have it with her. This is the younger kid's first time even hearing about the talk.
I think they did. I feel like I heard her mention something like, I did this with Zoe about, didn't she say something about the menstruation and period and the talk? Maybe
I think
She
she
said,
had
well,
the
yeah, she
period
said
talk
on the
with her,
period talk, but she didn't have the
she said she
sex
had a
talk.
talk with the son about sex. So I don't think she ever mentioned.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I wanted to see how Dre would have reacted with his daughter, and I wanted to see what that dynamic would have been like, because we obviously, he would have just been like, no.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
He would have went and got her a nice little purity ring.
Right. And I just think it's sad, like, especially because what if he had walked on his daughter masturbating?
Well,
My God, that's intense.
that's different.
And
That's a story that hasn't really been put out.
And ABC was not about to be the first to do that. I could say, like, we ain't about to write that line. We gonna say it's the son.
Yeah, exactly. And that's sad, though. Like, just like I said earlier, it should be equal. Everyone should be able to talk about it, because how are you going to learn if you don't say anything about it? So, I mean, maybe they'll touch on that next week. That could be a prediction. I doubt they will. I doubt they will. But let's send in some, requests for it.
But for all we know, that could have been what Zoe was trying to tell her mom. But of course, we didn't hear anything over Rainbow in her head thinking about
I'm a
everything.
great mom, not a bad mom.
See, and that made me feel like, is my mom like that? Are they are they really listening? Like, they're just giving you a generic answer, and they're like, I'm such a good mom. I'm getting closer to my daughter. We're friends. We're besties. Is that their goal?
Right. I don't know. Not my mama.
She's
my
open
mom.
with you? Okay.
No.
Yeah, me and my mom, we are friends, but not friends. She will let
No,
you know.
that's what I'm saying.
We're
I'm your mama. We cool, but I'm still your mama.
exactly.
Yeah.
So my mom is definitely the mom, but I can go to her for things.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Very good.
Okay, so we got a little bit into that dynamic. I want to jump into Rainbow's relationship with her daughter. We saw that it was very different from her son. She let him know everything about sex, but she had a hard time really connecting with her daughter. Why do we find ourselves dealing with that as, the mother-daughter dynamic?
I think because you see so much of yourself in your daughter, and you don't want her to make the same mistakes you made. I mean, I think that's essentially what every mother wants for their little girl. Because I remember my mom telling me stuff that she did wrong, and she was just like, I don't want you to do that either. And I just thought about it like, wow, that's like your goal. Like it's like redemption through your child.
Yeah.
They don't do what you did, then you've succeeded, and you are redeemed from the bad stuff you did.
Definitely. But if you don't, okay, your mom told you, but if your mom, you have someone that doesn't tell you something like that, then you never know. Like, they're just being hard on you. Why? Because they had a perfect life before that. So I feel like a lot of parents feel like they don't want to express that in order to not give you that excuse that you can do the same thing.
Right.
So how do we get away from that? Like, if we want to be open with our kids, how do we get away from that issue?
I feel like you have to tell them, like, this is what I did, and I'm telling you this because I don't want you to go through it. Granted, yes, your children are going to have to experience mistakes and make their own mistakes, but you can let them learn that experience sometimes isn't the best teacher. And I mean, yeah.
It comes from shame. You know what I mean? It comes from shame and judgment. And I think just as human beings, we don't want that, especially from our children who we're supposed to be this shining example for.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of times we forget the best example is truth. Mm-hmm. So sometimes you should just be truthful and honest, even though it makes you look less of a stellar parent and more like a real human being. In the end, it's going to help them. And I think, especially as Black parents, I feel like in Black households, we all about that do as I say, not as I do. Mm-hmm. Instead of being like, okay, these are the things I did wrong. There's a lot of families in general that are just like, we don't talk about those things. We don't talk about that because it's just not good. And in Black families, especially, we're not very sexually liberal, so we don't want to talk about those things. It's just hush, hush.
Exactly.
You know, just be
But then,
pure.
then once the child experiences that, we have to talk about it, and you wish you would have told them beforehand.
Right.
So,
But a lot of times it ends in shame. It's like you shame them. You should not have done that. You should not have been doing that. Why did you do that? Now you're, you know what I'm saying? Instead of being like, you could have talked to them a long time ago. Don't shame them now.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. But let us know what you think
yes.
about this episode of Blackish, especially what was it like for you growing up in your family? Can you, is this relevant to your experience growing up? Let us know. Make sure you subscribe to our podcast. Just go to iTunes. It's really simple. Search AfterBuzz TV Blackish. And when you see our podcast pop up, just click subscribe. It's free. So make sure you tell your friends and your friends' friends and your friends' friends' friends and give us 5 stars. And also leave comments. We also have a comment. Thank you, all of you, for watching on YouTube, especially.
Yes.
We had a lot of great comments. And there's one in particular I wanted to shout out. Her name is Daniela Graff. Hello, Daniela. Oh, wait, I believe she's in Germany. What's up? Watching
Hey,
us
girl,
in
hey.
Germany. Hey. And she did say your after show was way better than the show itself. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
She said, I agree. The pilot felt already pretty wrapped up. And for me, there was no real incentive to watch more because the show did not bring anything new to the table. Well, I hope this second episode has changed your mind, Daniela, because I think, you know, we said the same thing that we didn't think there was going to be anything else that after the pilot. Like, what else can I talk about? But this episode shows that there's a lot of things to explore, and I'm excited to see.
And one thing I loved is that they put less focus on race. They just were a
Right.
family, which is what you want to see. Yes, the title is Blackish, but we got to see a family perspective, and
Right.
it doesn't matter what race you are. Anyone can relate to this.
Right.
So that was good to see.
It was very refreshing. I'm excited. I'm happy. I had high hopes. I'm happy the second episode turned out way better. And yes, I agree. I'm so glad they didn't do all the Blackish and Black stereotypes and things like that. You did see little subtle instances or inserts of, you know, Black culture and
Which
what
is
it's
okay.
like in Black families, which I love and which is okay, but it wasn't so in your face.
Right.
Yeah, and I feel like one thing that I kept seeing in the comments is that, oh, Black people don't support each other. We should support each other now because this is not focusing on race. This is focusing on a family that happens to be Black, that has a high status. Honestly, I feel like a lot of stereotypes come from socioeconomic status. It's not about the color of your skin. It's about, you know, about the behavior a lot of people see is based on, you know, their income, their background, things like that. So all Black people do not act the same. We're seeing that with Blackish. So it's so refreshing, as you said, to see something like this on TV.
Yeah.
Right.
I have high hopes. Cosby Show.
Yes.
Second coming.
Exactly.
Right.
Awesome. So the last thing is we need to jump into sibling dynamics. So we saw that with the younger kiddos, they were so cute and like
I know.
they were
What's
adorable.
the talk? We need the talk.
So I am one of 4, and I always have to put myself in it. Sorry, but I'm one of 4, so I'm kind of like a middle child, but at the same time, the oldest, because it's blended. But we see a lot of different changes from the oldest person to the middle child to the younger sibling. So how did you guys feel the younger kids were? Like, what's their perspective?
I kind of felt like, okay, this episode, not gonna lie, I felt like they just kind of threw them in there so they weren't forgotten. I really didn't. I just wish the parents probably would have had more interaction so we could have seen the dynamic between all kids and how it's different from Zoe to Junior to the twins. And they literally were like, we're by ourselves in this room. I'm like, how long y'all done kept them babies in there? That room look dirty. When was the last time y'all checked that room?
And then her hair was not done. But listen.
Right.
I'm thinking, is this a weekend?
Right. And it wasn't. It was. They were definitely going to work. But I think they did cover that. Sometimes the younger kids can get neglected once the parents get older and they get tired. So I feel like they covered that dynamic pretty well because those kids were raising themselves at that point.
And it's so cute because that's how twins are. They're just like so each other's best friend. They hate each other, but they love each other. And they're like so cute.
Right. So I think they covered that well. Now, I wish we would have got more of an interaction between, is it Junior? Yeah, Junior and Zoe. Because they are like, I get when you're growing up, maybe your brother and sister is not your best friend, but they got to have some interaction. Don't they go to similar schools or like something?
I don't know. Do they?
I'm not
Because
sure.
junior might is
Is
junior.
he in middle school or
I think
high school?
he's like 8th grade because he's
Okay.
13, maybe 12, 13. He wanted a bar mitzvah. That's 13.
13.
Right?
Okay.
So is that 8th grade?
Yeah, he's still in middle school.
So
okay.
she's probably like 9th grade, 10th grade.
She's very far removed.
I would have loved to see her reaction to hearing about her dad walking in to see Junior masturbate.
But
Like,
you know,
I think
I
that
don't-
would have been funny.
Right, but I don't think that is something she should have known.
yeah,
I
parents
don't
don't
think,
share that.
Yeah, I don't think that
But
that's
then,
something.
and when you're in a house, I know in my house and plenty of houses, whatever happens, you just kind of hear through the grapevine, or you hear at the door. Oh, that's what happened.
Well, I think
like
that
the
they
kids.
use the twins for that. I think because when you're older, it's just like you got to be like kids. You can sugarcoat and make it cute for the little ones, but then when it comes to the older kids, this is like okay, it's real. And I think that's probably why they didn't use Zoe for that.
Yeah.
I just wish. I don't know. I think they should have had more of a storyline going with Zoe and the fact that she's this teenager. All she does is stay on the phone. And the way I wish I would have said, like, been on the phone like this, and as my mom is asking me questions and I'm saying something else on the phone. I would have gotten beat.
Yeah. Oh no.
That
When she
beat.
said the "kill me now," I was like, "Oh, she's gonna hit." her.
Right. But you know, Rainbow is like the free love.
She is.
And she's just very easy breezy, so guess not.
And I don't think.
Yeah,
I don't
like,
think.
girl,
I,
duck.
I don't think any of our. I don't know if my mom would have hit me, but I definitely think she
Like,
would have been
kill
like,
me.
okay, it's,
Where do you get that
yeah,
from?
it's time for you to get off the phone and tell me what's
Right.
going on, since you are so vocal and open about this thing. So it was interesting to
Right.
see how she's a mom.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the kiddos, I hope we see a little bit more of them because I'm like, they deserve a little bit of love. I know my sister, my youngest sister, she was in her own little world as a child, but like she
Right.
still was included a little bit. They just are taking care of themselves at 6, 7, however old they are. So it'll be cool to see how that is. One other thing I wrote down is that. Oh, can we please go back to Dad? Like how he is now avoiding this sex monster that he created.
Right.
Like,
After having his shirt off and telling him to stay away from oral because of his wheat allergies. Because apparently oral is not gluten-free. That's what he said. I was like, I don't look whitey, gluten-free.
Oh my
That's so messed up.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, so I don't know how. I kind of agree with the Pop's take on things with the sex thing. Like maybe we don't want our kids to start giving us like word vomit of like their sexual things going on in their head. Like that was too much. I don't want to hear
Right.
everything. Like the lunch lady, we got that far with
Helen
Dad.
Mirren. tater
Mirren. Well, I
tots?
was dealing with
Come on
Helen
now.
Mirren. I was like, what? Helen Mirren. Okay.
You've been judged.
Is that what gets you?
right. I'm judging you. Yes. Helen Mirren. Come on.
Oh my gosh. Okay, do you guys want to jump into news and gossip?
Yes, let's do it.
AfterBuzz TV News.
So, Blackish did very well in its pilot episode, which was last week. It actually finished second in the ratings on ABC, right behind Modern Family. So, a lot of people are saying the Modern Family audience kind of just stayed tuned because they wanted to see what Blackish was all about. So, hopefully, they'll continue to stay tuned and
Yes.
watch Blackish.
Great news.
Exactly. So, yeah, there was 11.04 million viewers. And yes, they beat Survivor, the Goldbergs, and Nashville.
Wow. Go Blackish.
Yes, honey. Let's just
Yeah.
hope we keep that momentum up. for the entire
Yes.
season,
Let's
please.
please. And then let's head over into I watched Erica Alexander. She talked about how she was a part of Living Single and she did the Cosby
Maxine
Show.
on Living Single. Yes.
Yes. And
Maxine Shaw.
Yeah.
Yes.
Attorney at law.
Yes.
And she had such a fresh perspective. She was basically saying like Blackish is like an awesome show, but why do we have to put so much focus on it being a black show? Back when Living Single was happening and the Cosby shows happened, it was about a black cast just being a family.
Right.
They just happened to be black. We didn't put so much focus on it. So I think it's so interesting that back then, you know, we did deal with like heavy overt racism, and now we're dealing with some more subtle things because I mean, I had a lot of comments about Blackish being very racist, and I didn't see that in this. What about you?
I didn't see it as that. I think the name throws people off, especially because this episode wasn't about race. It was about just a family dynamic. And I think it's better if you just focus on the family that just happens to be black and happens to have racist thing happens to them or stereotypes brought up versus a name like Blackish. I think they should probably change the title of the show.
But why do we have to change it?
Well, because I think it makes it seem like the whole entire show is just about black issues, and it's not. It's really not.
No, it's not. I mean, what would be a better title for something like this?
I don't know. They don't pay me for that.
Right, they don't pay any of us.
Above my pay grade.
Well, it's funny you said that and all that Cosby Show, because actually in the Huffington Post, Kenya Barris, the creator, said that he wanted to follow in the footsteps of Bill Cosby and have, a Cosby type show and portray in a positive light. And then he also said about how racism, particularly in Hollywood, is more so behind closed doors and not so in your face. And he said that is the most dangerous type of racism because sometimes the people actually doing that and, having the prejudice thoughts don't even realize they're doing it because it's so behind closed doors. So he said creating this show, he wanted to shed light on that and kind of, say, hey, if you said this, if you walked up to your employee and said, "What up, Dr. Dre," or something, then
hey girl,
yeah,
you don't really talk like that. In real
then
life.
then you're wrong.
Yeah.
Probably
Then
not
you're,
do that.
You're doing this. Okay, I like that one. That was a real good one to end on, guys. Okay, so where can everybody find you, ladies?
Oh, we have predictions.
Oh, we didn't do predictions. Jump in the gun.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
So I'm going to go first since I did that.
Go ahead.
My prediction for next week is that we're going to see more of the life on Tracee's side as far as work. So we'll finally get to see, is she a pediatric, nurse or whatever the case is. I also think we're going to get a little bit more of the younger kids' perspective. That's it for me.
I think the same thing. I'm like, well, as you're saying this, I'm like, she's taking all my predictions.
It wasn't much.
But that's kind of what you have left. And then I pray to God they go into Pops because I'm so curious about him. And I think he will be hilarious.
I want Pops to go on a date with his lady friend. It's got to be like a Miss Janet. You know what I'm saying?
Oh my goodness.
He going out with Miss Janet tonight or something like that. You know what I'm saying? He got to have a lady friend that we got to meet shortly.
Oh my.
That's my
Okay,
prediction.
I want to see that one too. Good. Okay, so we're gonna wrap it up today. I hope you guys enjoyed the show, but let's see where we can find everybody on Twitter and Instagram.
You can reach me at Twitter and Instagram at Shaprintace Lynn, ShaprintaceLynn.
And as always, you can find me, Megan Thomas, on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Meg Scoop, like scoop of ice cream.
And you guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Teznos. As always, please tweet us all your comments and thoughts. Use the hashtag BlackishABC. And we hope to hear all your comments on YouTube and on iTunes. We'll see you guys next week. Bye. Bye.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Bye later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.